This is 1 p.m. Ocean Camera Space Corp in front of SpaceX launch site. I had 2 cameras going just about 5 minutes ago doing that test. It worked out good. So the reason I set up today was, yes, it's daytime. Yes, we are here at SpaceX launch site. Two really good reasons to set up, but more interestingly, in the back they were lifting some of those one of those white tanks. When I was possibly going to be going to town, I saw they had a white tank lifted, so maybe they got some of those water deluge tanks here on site. And so that's why I'm positioned in this position here, this spot in the back. I can see just to the very, I'll show you a little bit here. Right back there where the person is, way back there, there's some type of piping back there. And I believe that's what they just lifted. And there's maybe more back there. Hey, Aristocrat and Carl, good stuff, guys. Stuart. So in the back, just where those people are walking back there, there is a kind of another one of those white tanks or something, maybe for possibly one of those water deluge tanks. So when I was driving by, I saw they had one up in the air. You can see on the left side there is way back there, there's a tank back there too. Ophelia. So that's what they're doing with that big yellow crane back there. They're doing some lifting of the new tanks that have come in. As well, on the left side of the screen, we can see some venting of, there's a methane tanker back there, that grain tanker that has methane in it. So they're offloading some methane. I guess this week they're going to be doing some testing. Hey, Jill. Tony, good stuff. But it is daytime. I wanted to make sure I got a daytime shot in it. It's been a little while. Underneath the orbital launch platform, we can see a little bit the table. We can see some blue sky on the bottom there. I'll get a closer shot. I just saw this. You can see on the bottom left side of the orbital launch platform there, you can see some blue sky between the table and the platform itself. I don't always get to see that shot. Chaos Promotions in the house here. So I don't know if they're lifting or lowering the table, but we can definitely see some blue sky between the platform and the table there. Yeah, so today I've covered a little bit, but they are moving some of those, I believe, the water deluge pipes or whatever. And we're getting a shot of the orbital launch platform there. I was just live briefly for about 5 minutes with 2 cameras. So if you have 2 iPhones, and if you do have the ability to live stream, you can use one iPhone to do the personal hotspot, and so they're taking some soil out of here too. You can use the one iPhone to personal hotspot to the other one, and then send your link so you can live stream together with your other iPhone over the one account. I use 2 different YouTube profiles that I have. You probably don't want to use the same profile. If you just have one YouTube channel, you might want to make sure you create a second one and live stream with that other profile from the second phone. Otherwise, it's a blue skies. I watched a bunch more welding videos today. I was looking at some of the different types of welding. Hey, Martin. I said there's a lot of activity going on here on the site. You can't really see all of it. There's a lot of trucks here to the left. There's a good amount of people going to the beach today too. We've had some cold weather over the last couple days, maybe 4 days or so. So I guess people are taking advantage of the warmer weather, going to the beach, and also getting a lot of work done here on site. I haven't been here much this week at all, except for yesterday. So I can't really compare the attendance here on site to the earlier in the week. But you can see there's a lot of trucks on both sides of the camera here. It looks like we got some clouds over there to the west. All right. Oh, we do have a balloon also to the south over by to the north by South Padre Island. There is a balloon just over this truck as well. I'll get it in the shot in just a minute. See if I can find it. I'll zoom out first and maybe, there we go, at the top of the screen. So if you're watching from South Padre Island, I'm gonna let the camera get still and we'll get this shot of the balloon. Let me get this locked in. All right, there we go. We got you on camera too. Yeah, this one has been here for a good while. I don't know if it comes down and goes back up, but Jill says the deluge pipes and tanks just arrived and were being assembled at the Sanchez. They got here yesterday. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, I think I saw that it had arrived yesterday too. I didn't know where, but yep. So we got our own weather balloon here too, or whatever. But it's a different one. This one has been here for a little while. Pretty much not too cloudy to the northeast. There are some clouds coming over the thing here, but directly above us, no, we got blue skies, no clouds above us. We do to the west, that's for sure. All right, they got some pipes here too. I didn't see this, but right in front of the camera here also, there's a bunch of pipes they're getting ready to work on. Well, if you're a welder, if you're a structural welder, they got some probably structural welding going on right here. Or maybe this is pipe welding. I'm not sure what this is called, but they're going to be doing some welding right here, I believe. See, even when I stop watching the welding videos and stop welding myself, I'm still surrounded by welding. Moritz, good to see you, Moritz. I'm gonna maybe walk to my truck and get my umbrella. It's getting sunny out here. I can't really see the screen. I'll be back in a minute. away, maybe 8 feet away right now. So I'll see how well this transmission went with the audio. There's a little bit of breeze too, so. But there's people welding on the orbital launch platform. They're lifting pipes. A lot of people on site. Yeah, it's a good turnout today for a Saturday. All right, I am back here at the camera. I'll zoom out a little bit. Every stream I do, I get on the camera a little bit. Welcome to the stream. Paul Marcos here, and it's hard to keep shaved. You know, I got so much. It grows so fast. Here's another truck coming out with a lot of dirt. All right, that's much better. All right, the umbrella's working really good. Okay, it's modern. Thanks. Martin says it's modern to have a beard. That's good stuff. All right, the weather here, partly cloudy with the temperature of 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. The wind is from the east-southeast at 10 miles an hour. So east-southeast, 10 miles an hour. We're at 16 kilometers an hour. And the current humidity is 59% humidity. All right, 59. It's not. It's a little dry. It's a little windy, and above us, it is blue skies. Maybe it's a little bit more windy over there by South Padre Island. We're about 5 miles away. I'll zoom out. I haven't been keeping up with the news. I don't really know what's going on, so happy Saturday to you. If it's Sunday already, happy Sunday to you. If it's another day and you're watching from the future or the past or from another dimension, welcome also. Yasu means hello in Greek. Hey, Tez. That's about it. To the right, we got the Starship also. I put the other live stream I did before this on unlisted. So if you saw it, you can always go back into your history and take a look at that. I don't think everybody needs to see that, but it was good to do that live stream and test it out real time and see how it performed. It really worked out great to do that personal hotspot and have the two phones with the two cameras. I just got to prepare it and have a second tripod, and it'd be nice. It's a good tool to have in the bag of tricks. Beyond that, over the last few days, they have been grinding and doing a lot of stuff here on site. Some of the normal stuff that they've done in the past with grinding and working on the launch platform, etc. And you can see there are a couple. There's looks like there's one another methane tanker down there, and I don't know what the one next to it is. It could be another type of fuel, or maybe it's another methane tanker. So there is at least one other methane tanker right there, getting ready to offload from the main gate over here. I guess whenever this tanker on site finishes up, that other one will come in and replace it. Yeah, there's that other tanker back there to the left of those gentlemen walking away from us. Over there. There is a Starship transport platform over here to the right as well. I think there was one new one on the boat too that came in, but I don't know if that's made it here to the site. But they do have another, I think it's another either booster or Starship transporter that we're like the one we're seeing there. It looks like maybe the base area by the Starship is getting kind of cleared out. They might be clearing out the base over there, so I don't know what that might mean. Maybe they're getting ready to test that Starship, I don't know. They're still doing some earthwork over there as well. So, what would they be testing next, huh? Would it be the Starship here, or would it be the booster for, there's still a lot of work going on over by the orbital launch platform. So if they were to do any testing soon, I would guess, if I had to guess, I would guess it would be the Starship would be the next thing. And this is just my first day back on site, so I haven't really looked at the movement of things here on site to be able to predict. But I would just, off the top of my head, I would say they are offloading methane here, and I don't know if they use any of this methane in the orbital tank farm for the suborbital tank farm, but we'll have to see. I don't know. Get some close-up shots of the booster. I'm gonna go into town today too. I'm gonna do a bunch more stuff in town. Martin, yeah, I don't know, Martin. That's a good question. If anyone knows that answer, is March still a realistic target? I don't know. Tez asks if anyone knows what the combined weight on the Starship and the booster is, fully stacked with all the fuel in it. It was the question. Or they could do a dry weight without any fuel. But if anyone knows, if you know, let us know. I've pivoted. I've done a pivot here at Ocean Camera Space Corp into taking some welding courses, so that not only will I have the ability to make money in a new skill, but also I'll be able to not only make stuff here at Ocean Cam, but possibly get work at another place. So, and also to know I could fabricate my own craft, my own space capsule. If you like to make your own space capsule and you have the ability to weld, and you have the materials, different types of steel or metal or whatever, the only other things that you would need on top of that are some type of pressurization capability, and you know, maybe you could build your own submarine or build your own spaceship capsule, you know. After that, once you got the welding and you got the different materials you'll need to cut and shape and form, I think really the only other thing is just to have a plan for what you want to build. It's not that hard. And then do a lot of testing, right? You want to test it so that when you're out there in space with your craft, it doesn't just not work. You know, one of the things that I've learned over the last 2 years is that electronics in space are one of the main difficulties. If there is radiation and stuff, they want to, you can't just take a camera and put it up there in space. You want to double, triple, maybe however many repetitions you can do of the same data that you'd be getting from that camera or whatever. You really want to make it, you want to make the electronics, there's another word, duplicate, triplicate of the info, so that you can, as one camera electronics stops working or malfunctions, you can compare it to the other two and get the good image. You need some type of shielding, I guess, depending on where you're going in space and the type of plasma and other ionization events, etc., radiation. So beyond just building of the ship and having the right thrusters and combinations of fuels and managing temperature, electronics are the big thing. But beyond that, I don't think there's much more. There's not, you don't want to get hit by an asteroid or anything, so some kind of avoidance of different things. So we got vacuum or near vacuum conditions up there in space. There are some space, what is it called? There are some, amazingly, there are some creatures which can survive in the vacuum. I think it's, they've crashed a bunch of them into the moon. They kind of go into hibernation. They got they're really small and they have a very hard outside shell. But so there are some things that you can disperse into space on different trajectories, and you could colonize space if it's not already colonized. I believe space is already inhabited. Every aspect, every nook and cranny of space is made up of life. And I did not say I believe there's life in space. I say every aspect of space is made up of life. So it's a different concept. That I'm not saying there's life in space. I'm saying space is alive. That's two different things. So if you come to that understanding or knowledge or belief or knowing that everything in space is alive, then there's nowhere in space where there would be no life. So I'm of the opinion and of the knowing or the belief that space is alive. So once you got that opinion, then you can't really you can't find a single place in space where there's no life. So at that point, when you get to that understanding, then that's when meditation becomes important. Because if everything in space is alive and you can't see it, then the problem isn't with space. The problem is with you, the observer, not knowing what life is. Yes, Martin says, where there's energy, there's awareness. And where there's awareness, there's a presence. And where there's a presence, there is, you could say it as many times as you'd like to say it in different variations, but where there's an awareness, there's a presence. And then where there's a presence, there's a being. And when there's a being, there is definitely life. If something is being, there's energy, there's awareness, there's perception. If there's awareness, there's perception. If there's perception, there's life. So if there's life and you can't find it or you don't see it, then the problem is with you, the observer. It's not the problem with the life. So that's where meditation comes in. And if you'd like to be able to perceive better and see what is there, what is already being, doesn't have to be created. It's already there. It already exists. That which exists is alive. And the meditators are the first to know that and to experience it. And so if you'd like to really be an effective finder of life out there in space, I would recommend doing some Vipassana meditation. Vipassana, V-I-P-A. Do you know how to spell it? V-I-P-A-S-A-N-N-A. Vipassana is what the Buddha, apparently Buddha taught some of the people around him how to do this meditation called Vipassana meditation. And the cool thing about Vipassana is you can't really do it in 1 day. You can't do it in 2 days. You can't do it in 3 days. Just to get started at Vipassana meditation, it takes 4 days before you actually begin the Vipassana meditation. So 4 days, 10 hours a day. And then at that point, the meditation begins after 4 days. What did he say? What did Paul say? What's he talking about? I don't know. This guy is a little bit off his rocker. See, I already know what you're going to say because I've been hearing it for over 20 years. But I've actually experienced the life that is space. So if you would like to experience the life that is space, I am laying it out to you. It takes at least 4 days just to start the meditation. And then at least another 6 days to go through one cycle. Is probably about 6 more days on top of that 4 days. So 10 days is what we're talking about. And the cool thing about Vipassana meditation, as opposed to some other types of meditation, there are other types of meditation you can do in a busy city, and you can go there and you can meditate for a half hour and you can say, oh man, that was so difficult. Oh my God, I hope I never have to do that again. Half-hour meditation inside the city or at your local studio, or maybe at home. You know, home's the best place to do it. If you can do it for an hour, that's good at home, because at least you get into the rhythm with your breathing and you start to get a little bit warm. Your extremities get warmer. If you're cold and you're an older type person or past the age of 20, if you're over the age of 25, I would say you're an old folk. You're an old folk like me. Over 25, that's old. I think the average age on the planet is around 28. So if you're over 25, you're kind of getting up to that halfway point for the population of the planet. I think in some of those Western African countries, it's more in the lower 20s or even in the teens is the average age. So if you're over the age of 25, you're an old folk. And so maybe you're starting to get a little cold if you eat a lot of different foods that make you your blood not work so good to your extremities. A lot of those preservatives can slow down the circulation of the blood in the body. Yeah, you know, a lot of times people will say it doesn't matter what you eat. What you eat doesn't have any effect on your health, is what a lot of people say. And interestingly enough, those same people will take certain prescriptions that the doctor has told them to take. And so apparently there are some things that you can take that have an effect on your body, and then there are other things like food that you can eat has no effect on your body, these people think. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how that dichotomy, that split. So if the doctor tells you not to eat something or to take a certain substance, at that point what you eat has an effect on your body. But outside of that, you can eat anything you like and it will have no effect on your body. No effect, no effect. Why would what you eat have an effect on your body? But then what the doctor tells you to take, that definitely has an effect on your body. So, and you eat that as well. But yeah, I don't understand that dichotomy. So there are certain foods that you can take that will slow the circulation in your body, because occasionally, I would say maybe half the time, like flipping a coin, sometimes what you eat matters and sometimes what you eat doesn't matter. But when you sit down and meditate for at least an hour, sometimes the blood, if you're not fidgeting and moving around, if you're actually paying attention to your body and just not really doing anything during that hour of sitting and pay attention to your body and your breath, etc., then the circulation will get a little bit more synchronous and your body might start to warm up. I'm not a doctor. You have to talk with your doctor first before doing any of these activities that I'm talking about. But you know, sometimes just thinking about something will make you kind of stressed out just thinking about it. So yeah, so Vipassana is one way of doing it, and the cool thing about that is they don't charge you any money. It's a voluntary participation. Apparently the Buddha taught it to some of the people around him, in the last, I don't know how long he lived, but toward the end of his life, I think he taught a lot of people some of this stuff, and somehow it's managed to get passed down because I think some people saw some type of value in what the Buddha was talking about. I ventured into one of those workshops in 2013, and yeah, I had an amazing experience. I did 10 days of sitting Buddhist Vipassana meditation. I don't think when I was doing it, it was Buddhist. It was because I'm not Buddhist, I'm not Tibetan or anything, but so I don't know if when I was doing it, it would be called Vipassana or Buddhist. I think it would be called Greek, Italian, Swiss meditation. Greek, Italian, Swiss meditation. But when other people from that area do it, it's called Buddhist meditation. Mecman Spain says, you are what you eat. Johnny 3003 says, OBE and Space Guys. Yeah, that's a good one, Johnny. Yeah, but when I first started out in 1996, a while back, so I'm definitely over the age of 25. If in 1996 I was doing a meditation in 1996 when I started out with my meditation stuff, and it was I'd been eating a lot of pizza. So in college, you know, there's a lot of pizza places in college. So, you know, maybe you get a pizza today, you get another pizza tomorrow, and there's no one to share it with. So maybe you end up eating most or all the pizza, and you do that over several days. Sometimes the food you eat has an effect on the body. Sometimes. I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes. And I was doing I was in a running club as well, so I was maybe I was still circulating some of that food I was eating, but I was eating a lot of pizza. And one morning I woke up and I couldn't move. Did something happen to the audio? I think something happened. No, yeah, we're back. We're good. Okay, that's good. I was eating a lot of pizza, like I was saying. And one day I woke up and I couldn't move. Hello? Did something happen to the audio? Yeah, we're good. We're back again. Yeah, so I was eating a lot of pizza. Yeah, I think you got it. Good, we're good. That's good. And so I think the pizza, I think all that tomato had an effect on. I couldn't move when I woke up. I had sleep paralysis, but I tend to think it wasn't only the food that I was eating. I was. I'm gonna whisper this so nobody else knows. I was just playing around with the audio there. Don't tell anybody. I think. All right, so. And so I woke up and I couldn't move for about a minute. But I think it was not only the pizza and the food I was eating. I think it was because you know, I was using my brain a lot in college. I was going to college studying nuclear engineering. Nuclear is like new, and I was clear. Nuclear. So Jill says, did the forklift earlier carry out some small pipes? Yeah, it was lifting a pipe when I was passing here, Jill. Just here to the left. Nuclear engineering. There's a new clearness. It was very clear. Nuclear. Anyway, so I decided to take a semester of aviation commercial pilot for fun. I was in college. I was like, this nuclear stuff isn't, it stopped making sense to me with the different eigenvalue problems and the boundary equations and the half-life and all that type of stuff. It stopped making sense. Sometimes the science will stop making sense when it's going in the wrong direction, I think. Hey Seth, I don't toke at all. I don't do any toking. It's just the pure bliss of the air. I think it's in the air. We got clean air today. There's another very accomplished guy named Sadhguru, S-A-D-H Guru, Sadhguru, like a guru, G-U-R-U, guru, Sadhguru. And he would say that he's just ecstatic off his own life. Life is ecstasy, the clearness of life. When you're not taking any external substances, the brain produces its own chemicals. The brain produces its own chemicals. And he would say that he's always high. He would say, I am always high because I'm on the natural substance of the brain. Yeah, self-awareness. There you go, Tony. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Johnny 3003 says you have to build your own nuclear thermal propulsion engine. Yeah, there was a gentleman, I've talked about this before, but that's an interesting concept. There is a technology apparently with fusion containment, but there's a you will not maybe want to hear this, but over there in Iran, there was a guy over there from Iran, like I was running down the road, Iran, that developed a room temperature nuclear fusion device that you could put your hand in it and it would not get irradiated, but it would have magnetic and gravitational fields. A room temperature fusion device. Around the 2013 timeframe is when he came out and began talking about it, but he wrote 3 books, and I think I would like to maybe build something like that. I studied it for about a year, and they have like a back in 2012-13 when they were first coming out with it. I got very interested in it, having studied nuclear engineering in the past. And so I was saying before, if you're studying something and it's not making sense, maybe just keep at it. Maybe it will make sense, but there's always a chance that what you're studying is not true. And maybe that's why there's some resistance to it or loss of interest. Maybe maybe the 1 + 1 is 2, but when they start getting into I plus I square root of I plus I and differential equations, and without a practical application, the math is straightforward, but it's good to have an application. And if you're talking about some nuclear stuff as well. And the nuclear stuff, maybe they're still trying to figure it out. So if you're trying to memorize, if you have to memorize stuff and apply stuff that is just make believe and it's not really accurate or true, maybe I kind of believe that in the defense sector, they have certain things that are true, and then in the public sector they throw in a little BS here and there in some of the science to misdirect some of the commercial public applications of those sciences and technologies, which is why I believe you have to get a security clearance to learn some of that stuff. And when I was studying that nuclear stuff out of Iran with Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, in the first week of that Masters of Nuclear Fusion, they said, you're not allowed to share this information. So when they said, we don't want you sharing the information that we show you and teach you, I said, okay, adios, I'm out of here. Because I like sharing all the stuff that I find out, and I believe in more the type of society where you share stuff with other people and you're not really creating secret stuff. I'm not really into secrets. If, for instance, if I was hired by SpaceX or another company to keep company secrets, corporate secrets, I can keep corporate secrets, so don't worry about that. But as far as if I'm out on my own, learning something for myself, I would like to be able to share it with everybody. So just like this video here, I'm doing it live. We are live internationally, galactically, throughout the universe. This signal is free. Not everybody has an iPhone to decode the signal, or has the ears and the eyes to watch the video if they were able to decode it, or maybe their sensation, their ears don't operate in the audible spectrum here on the Earth. You know, with a different type of atmosphere, the sound waves will travel differently, and maybe they don't see visible spectrum light. So maybe I'm not really capturing a lot of infrared visibility on this iPhone, so I don't even know if they were able to decipher the signal out there in space on the other side of the galaxy. And that it would be meaningful. So I can keep a secret, but I prefer to share. I prefer to share. Prefer to share. All right, back to the story. So in 1996, I had my first paralysis, paralyzed. You know, some people get paralyzed for a long time and they can't move, you know, and then they're in a wheelchair and everything else. So this is my first experience. I was in the middle of college. I was not going to high school. At this time in my life, I was around 19, yes, I was 19 years old, at the top of my game, and I woke up and I couldn't move. And I think it was also due to the advanced nature of my brain and my mind and my thinking. Because the more you think, the more you're able to move slowly and observe, and the more you're able to move incrementally and slowly and perceive, you know, the more you can slow down space and time, the more you can observe, possibly, and the more developed your perception, the more you can function without moving your body. And so the more abstract thinking that you do, maybe possibly, the more likely you are to be awake when your body is asleep. So if you're able to be awake when your body is asleep, what happens to the body when you're asleep? A lot of times it's said that the body will paralyze itself so that it doesn't fall out of the bed, or, you know, maybe sleepwalk down if you're sleeping in a tent on the side of a cliff, maybe you're a mountain climber or maybe you're a rock climber, freehand rock climber without any ropes and everything. In the middle of the night, you want to camp out in your tent on the side of the cliff there, and you're sleeping on a cot, or maybe you have a little tent inside the cot. You probably don't want to rock around too much when you're asleep and maybe fall off a cliff or something, or maybe you're up in a what is it called? A bunk bed on the top one without any rails. You don't really want to be rolling around in your sleep so that you fall off the bunk bed, right? So I think the body paralyzes itself, or just through the act of the other more subtle bodies, where the perception is, I will talk in meditation terms. When the astral body pops out of the physical body, at that point you lose, it's like taking your hand out of a glove. If you have a glove and you have your hand in the glove, you can move the glove around. But if you take your hand out of the glove, you can't move the glove around anymore, because you're outside of the glove. I mean, you can grab the glove from the outside and move it around, but so the body is, in my belief, the body is like a glove. And so you have that which perceives, that which looks out the eyes and moves the fingers and everything else. You could say it's all your nerves and you're moving it around from your brain, but I believe there's something that interacts with the brain and all the nervous structure of the physical body. And that thing which interacts with the rest of the nervous system of the physical body, and which in turn moves all the different joints and fingers, tendons, everything else. That is a, you could call it electric. I would call it more something else, but I would call it maybe, you could call it the soul if you'd like, but whatever it is, there's something I call the astral body, the mental body, the causal body, all the different bodies. We have many, I believe we have many bodies. So when you take that body out of the physical shell, out of the glove, out of the cup, when you're outside of the cup, then the cup doesn't move around anymore, because that which is activating the cup or activating the glove, or if you have a robot, if you disconnect it from the battery, then it's not connected to the juice anymore. And the juice is the, whatever you want to call it, the spirit, the soul, the astral body, the mental body, whatever you want to call it, the chi. There's still chi in the body, but you can call it the jing or the shen if you want, the essence. Anyway, so I believe I was paralyzed, and I believe people get paralyzed when they start to operate in the more refined states of perception. And at the early age of 19 years old, in addition to eating a lot of pizza, I was also studying very hard for college in nuclear engineering. I was looking into the physics of matter, the nuclear structure of the galaxy, the universe, and the solar system. You know, if I'm studying the galaxy, I'm studying the solar system too. And, you know, sometimes when you're focusing on something, you can't focus on other things. You know, you're like, I can only juggle 3 balls at once, or maybe I can only juggle, how many balls can you juggle? 1, 2, throw from one hand to the other. How many balls can you juggle? So, yeah, some people can only juggle one thing at a time. So when I was in college, I was juggling at least a few things at a time, and so I was really focusing. And so at that point, I think that's why I got the sleep paralysis. Yes, it was the food, but I think it was also because I refined my perception. So some people are not as lucky as me. They will have one of these experiences and immediately run to their doctor, and they may get prescribed some type of medication. Hey, Rocky. No kib, Rocky, no kib here in the chat. Seth says, yeah, I'm not going to get into the chats just yet. It's going to change out the storyline here a little bit. We got some good chat. The cool thing about the chat is that it will be here into the eternity of YouTube. As long as YouTube is here, the chat will be here. You can go back to many of the chats previously over the last, and maybe 19 months or so. I don't know, maybe it's longer than that. It's probably longer than that. April 2021, another 2 months, it'll be 2 years. April 1st or something like that, or 21st, I don't know, April 11th, one of those dates when we started here. Yeah, you probably go back and see some of the early chats from the early days here at Ocean Camera Space Corp. Anyway. So some people are not as lucky as me. They will go to the medical doctor, and definitely go to your doctor if you have any inkling that you need to go to the doctor. I'm not telling anyone not to go to the doctor. That's definitely, I'm not a doctor, and this is just my personal perspective and story. You can see the description of this video has a disclaimer. I am not a doctor, and I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time. And I am just a YouTuber, as well as a business owner. And I disclaim any, this is just a sharing of my personal story and beliefs. But I personally believe that some of the time, at least some of the time, you know, I don't know how, I'm not a doctor, so just say there's definitely probably times where people have a serious medical issue and they need to get some immediate treatment, whatever that is. But for me, I was lucky, and it was not a medical issue, and I was just very advanced in perception, and within a couple days I was really lucky, and I kind of forgot about it that day and the next day. I think within 3 days I was up late at night. I thought the issue was gone, and I came across a radio show where someone was talking about paralysis, sleep paralysis, and out-of-body experiences. And what did he say? Yeah, I think that's what he said. Out of body, out. What's that? What is it? What's that? Yeah, that's right. Out-of-body experiences. And so I didn't know what that meant. And they said you could go to the New Age section of a bookstore. New Age, New Kenurio, New Age. And there's some books there about not only sleep paralysis, but some of this other stuff called out-of-body experiences, astral projection. And so I went to the store and I read a whole bunch of books. A lot of people today might not want to read books, but there are some books which they're kind of special. And I think when you read a book, sometimes you get instead of hearing the information in someone else's words, you can hear it inside your brain when you read a book. So I think that there's a benefit to reading books. And you can even write on the side of the page. You can take notes about what you think and how what you think changes over time as the more you read the book or as you read another book. So I used to write in my books. I had to do a lot of writing on my books. And even drawing pictures. You can't really do that all the time if you're just watching a TV show or maybe a YouTube channel. You can't really draw on the screen of the video, and then you can't really page through it. You know, sometimes I would like to step on my books just to kind of make a statement to the universe. You know, if you step on the book, then you kind of a little bit, you kind of maybe destroying the book a little bit. And if you want to know the information in the book, the more you step on it, the less you can get out of the book. So you better start pay attention to the book if you're stepping on it, and tearing out pages as you go, because maybe you're not going to be able to read the information in the future after you get rid of that page. So you got to really think about what's on that page, and if you're going to be throwing away that page, then and if you care about what you're studying, then sometimes it's important to pay attention to what you're reading. Okay, let me see. I'm looking at the chat here a little bit. Let's see. So asking about the fence wall. I'll get a shot here to the left. So as some of you are maybe scared about some of the experiences you've had in the past where you had some type of paralysis and you went to the doctor and maybe they were going to prescribe you, or maybe they did and you never knew what the reason for it was, but it scared the crap out of you. This is just another perspective. Possibly, there is a possibility that instead of having a genetic disposition to paralysis, instead of going to a psychologist for some type of nervous disorder, instead of, what else can I say? Instead of switching the brand of your foods and the location of the foods that you buy, sometimes it is a mental thing, and beyond mental, sometimes it's a actual spiritual thing. Spiritual, and a progressive advancement of the capability of the mind, M-I-N-D, mind your own business, but sometimes when you're minding your own business, you get paralyzed. So, and so some of the times in meditation, they'll talk about, to really perfect one of the different positions, one of the moves, some of the yoga moves in yoga, they talk about, there are all these different types of downward dog pose, or maybe you want to do a sun salutation, or there are all these savasana, sarvangasana, warrior pose, warrior 1, warrior 2. There are all these different types of poses that you can do in yoga. And you can move through them really fast, and you can get really strenuous, and you can get hot when you're doing yoga, hot yoga. And you can do some Bhastrika and Kalabhati, rapid diaphragmatic breathing. You can really sweat when you do yoga, or you can get really relaxed. But it's said that if you really want to master a pose in yoga, you want to be able to do it for like 3 hours without moving, without straining yourself. So if you can hold a pose, whether you're sitting or maybe you're in a handstand and you're like, I want to perfect this pose in yoga. I want to do a handstand, right? I'm really good at my handstands. In yoga, they say that if you really want to master a skill, you got to be able to hold it for like 3 hours without getting stiff, without moving. Yeah, the methane truck went down there by the tank farm. I don't know what's doing. But I thought it was going to go into the main gate here. Maybe there's not enough space here or something like that. But they'll probably be coming back this way. So in the beginning, a lot of people getting into yoga, they'll just move through the different poses, and they'll begin to learn where the different muscles in the body and releasing and stuff. It's all, it's all good stuff, right? There's a flow yoga. There's all types of yoga. So, but there's another perspective on yoga. It's like you do the yoga, you do all the body movements so that you can be able to sit still in meditation. The idea behind all the yoga poses is to make your body so it can be comfortable holding one position. So whether you have to move through 50 different poses to get so the cream of the crop, the creme del creme, the goal or the reason for doing these different yoga poses is that so at the end of doing all these different poses, or maybe you just do one and you hold it, there comes a point when you can, after doing all these different exercises, moving the body around, moving all the different food and all the different substances in the body around so that it can be capable of being still and resting. You do all these different movements so that eventually, after doing all of them, you can rest for about 5 seconds up to a couple of minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. That last 5-10 minutes at the end of the yoga class is really the goal of the whole class. That's why you do all the different poses, so that at the end of all those different movements to work through the acidity in the body and everything else and get your body capable in a position, just like in Vipassana. It takes 4 days in Vipassana to actually start the Vipassana. In yoga, it takes all these different movements. If you're not really doing a lot of yoga, or you're not living a certain type of way, if you believe you can eat any type of food and not have an effect on the body, sometimes you got to do all these different yoga movements, so that in the very last 5-10 minutes of the class, when you think you're done, that's actually when the class begins, because the body is finally in a condition where it's able to be still, silent, and the awareness can be present without having a different direction. And after you move the body around, you do all this type of stuff with the body, and you feel really good because you stretched and you did all this kind of Western physical exercise type of stuff. After doing all of that and getting tired or busy or bored of doing all these different yoga exercises, poses, and everything else, at that point your boredom has gone beyond your physical body, and you just want to rest and pay attention and kind of enjoy the non-activity. That non-activity of the yoga class, if you skip through it, if you just, at the end of all the exercises, if you just get up and go home, you kind of missed out on the whole yoga class. So at the end of doing all these yoga exercises, they have you lay on your back for about 5-10 minutes. And you just rest. You pay attention to your breathing for about a minute or two. And then they give you some different movements with your brain. They say pay attention to your arms, relax your legs, back of your legs, front of your thigh, your feet, your toes, your fingers. They have you move through your whole body, your torso, your neck, make sure your head is relaxed, you're not tensing anything. So they move you around through all your whole body, and then they move you around the surface of your skin and everything else. And this is kind of the beginning of the yoga. So after you've done all the yoga poses and you've kind of neutralized the acidity in the body or whatever, you moved around the different contents in your digestive system, and maybe compressed your liver and all the different muscles of the body, etc. With all this Western food and diet and everything else, sometimes you got to do a lot of these different yoga poses and movements to equalize the body and get into a condition where it's able to meditate and pay attention and not be disturbed. Like in the middle of sleep, when you're sleeping, you kind of want to get to that position in yoga, but the difference between sleep and yoga is at the end of that, all those yoga movements, you're still awake. So you kind of want to get into a condition where you can be awake but also be resting at the same time. And that's when the awareness is not directed at your work or your job or your boss or whatever else. You've already gone through all that stress and difficulty while doing all the yoga poses and moves. And then finally, in that final, maybe of that final 5 to 10 minutes of yoga, when you're not doing anything, you're just relaxing on your back and you're thinking it's all over, finally you can go home soon. And then maybe your brain, your thoughts and awareness begin to drift a little bit, and maybe you sense a little bit of energy, a little bit of warmth, and your awareness is there, you're awake, and you're about to get up and go home, but that's when some of the magic of yoga kicks in. And you have the ability to perceive some of the energy that's normally directed into the different arms and legs of the body. That's when you have that small window of time. It can become a big window and you can fall into it, but if you're just passing by and you're not really, if you choose not to relax at that last 4 to 5 minutes of yoga, if you choose just to drift off and go to sleep, you'll still get some benefit, but you'll have missed out on the opportunity to notice something maybe you haven't noticed before. And so if you can get into that state and only do one pose, and if you can hold it for several hours, that's when you've mastered that pose. In 2000, maybe 2000 or 2001, I became a yoga teacher, everybody. Can you believe that? I used to teach yoga classes in the 2000 time frame. I lived at a yoga center for like over 4 years. not all at once, but the longest I lived in one single track was about 1.5 years. But I have had a lot of exposure to some of that stuff, and I even became a teacher, and I taught classes for a couple of years. So I know what I'm talking about. But the beyond being a yoga teacher is knowing what yoga is all about. And I became a world expert on that in 2001 or 2 is when I became a world expert when it comes to meditation and yoga. It's kind of like you walk into a room, right? And you're like, whoever can make this room light up has figured out the answer, right? When you can take someone from the forest, you can even take an animal, right? In the middle of night, in a barn, maybe you have some, maybe there's some deer in the field, and you have some spotlights outside. If you are capable of moving over to that switch and turning on the spotlight switch, you have mastered the skill of lighting up the night. And as long as you can walk over to that light switch and flip it, the deer will think you are a god. The deer will say, "You are a god. I better run away. You've scared me." And so, same thing in yoga. Learning to flip that switch, learning to flip the switch is a different type of activity. You can pay attention to it as it happens inside the body, but you can also just let it happen, and you don't really need to know how it happens. But as long as it happens, and you experience the light of that switch being switched, and you experience the result of that, being able to see inside the room. And in the middle of night, we look up there into the sky and we say, the sky is dark. There's nothing to see in space. It is all darkness throughout the whole galaxy and the universe. It's all dark, and it's only occasionally in this large area of darkness, in this large hallway, where only occasionally where we come to a sun or a planet or a moon, or maybe there's a collision and we see a brief spark, or we look in a different spectrum. We can see the X-rays, we can see the ultraviolet, we can see the radio emissions. But there is another way to look at the universe, the galaxy and the stars and the solar system, just through yoga. And just like going over there to your barn and flipping the switch inside the barn with your physical body, you can also flip the switch internally. And you can kind of put on your night vision goggles when you step out of your physical body, and you can see in multiple spectrums of colors. And not only are you able to see into the darkness, into the night sky, because I think it's almost like the eyeballs have a certain type of filter. They have if you look, diffraction gradient, and if you want to look directly at the sun, you kind of need one of those small holes inside of there's different diffraction gratings and things you can do to split the light into a spectrum where you can look directly at the sun. So you can think of it as the physical body has a bunch of diffraction gratings over the physical eyeball. So because of that, when you're in your physical body, unless you really train yourself to be able to see other spectrums and frequencies, you can really see best when you're not in your physical body, because you're not limited by the gradients which make up the physical eyeball. So if you really want to see into the darkness, semicolon darkness, or what is it called? Apostrophe. Sometimes you gotta step out of your physical body to really see what's there. And the reason you can do that is because pure perception, when you're not in your physical body, you have the ability to perceive more than you can in your physical body. I mean, sometimes you can loosen up the physical structure of the body and be able to see simultaneous outside of your body as when you're looking through your physical eyeballs. But that's for you to discover possibly down the road, or maybe you've already experienced it yourself. But that's where I come to you with the information about life in space, or space is alive. It's with that experience, having gone through the sleep paralysis into the deeper stages of existence. And as the astronauts and people here on the Earth progress into that more relaxed, more expansive, peaceful, deeper brainwave states, you know, the what is it called, the resonance, the Schumann resonance of the Earth is around 7.8, I believe, hertz per second or something like that, 7.8. And the human brain normally functions in a multitude of spectrums simultaneously. But if you're able to shift your brainwave state so that you can function in the more relaxed, slower frequency range, you might be able to, as Carlos Castaneda would say, stop the world. You might be able to stop, like stop sign. You might be able to stop the world because your perception has gotten so intense, relaxed and intense, shifting out of the physical into the more capable. So how does this tie into what we're looking at here? We're looking at the we're looking at a lot of physical spaceships and boosters and all types of stuff. And this is really cool because it's going to give us an ability to go out into the solar system and beyond and sense, you know, sometimes when you're looking at something close up, it's easier to pay attention to it. So this is going to allow us to expand not only our physical boundaries, but to ponder more of the solar system and the galaxy, and possibly when we get better propulsion and everything, explore the rest of the universe as well. So when you get really up there, then you can have the better questions, and when you have better questions, then you can seek better answers. And so the more civilization challenges itself, you know, the more variety and the more knowledge the overall population will have, and the more relaxed, the more capabilities we have, maybe the more relaxed we can get as a society. Rather than fighting, we can have something better to do. We can compete. We can compete on how relaxed we can get. You know, maybe the United States will be like, our people are this relaxed, and China can say, our people are way more relaxed than your people are. Look at our people over here. They're so happy and comfortable and relaxed. And then the people from India will say, no way, our people are way more relaxed than your people. And the benefit of relaxation is that it allows people to use more of their capability. And also from a yoga perspective, or more from a meditation perspective, when you get relaxed is when the brain kind of shifts into the higher dimensional states, or to the alpha, or to the theta, or the delta frequencies. And as you can be relaxed and stay alert, stay aware, the more you can be awake simultaneous as being relaxed. Not only do you probably get more creative, maybe you get a little bit more critical, maybe you like to be critical, have a critical mind, but you can also have the option of being more creative. And you can be creative when you're relaxing too, and you can just relax more and more. And when you're supremely relaxed, maybe you can call it lazy, when you're supremely relaxed and still paying attention, maybe you've done everything you really needed to do during the day and you're just relaxing on your couch or whatever, but you're still not super tired, And you can kind of close your eyes and just rest and relax and pay attention. And if the majority of the people in the United States could relax, maybe we're talking Mexico, maybe the majority of the people in Mexico would like to just sit back, relax, maybe have a cold drink, and let the brain wander a little bit. That's when the civilization of the earth will move from a type zero, numero zero civilization and progress into the higher civilization states, maybe a type 2 civilization, type 4 civilization, and this is where we will get the better space propulsion. We'll have the ability to travel throughout the material universe when we have that more relaxed state, because the relaxation leads to creativity, which leads to inventions, and then the different societies and people can compete with each other and say, our people are way more relaxed than your people. Look at the heartbeat, look at the galvanic skin response, look at the brainwave activity in the EEG range. Our people are using more of their prefrontal cortex. Your people are still locked in their, what is it called? The reptilian areas of the brain, the root structure of the brain. Your people are still trying to breathe while our people are using their prefrontal cortex. You are uncivilized, but our people are more civilized than your people. If we can compete in that way, instead of building all these bombs and weapons and trying to compete as far as blowing each other up and getting ourselves richer as we own those manufacturing facilities and those mines which produce the different weapons, which are very competitive and nice and beautiful to look at and to release into the atmosphere on a nice trajectory, a beautiful trajectory over there to that other person's property, and to extinguish the materials on the other person's property. Instead of competing in that way, we can compete as far as creativity. Our people are more creative than your people. Your people are so uncivilized. And maybe this will be the future of the type 2 civilization that we are progressing into. And maybe you're watching this video in the type 2, maybe you're in the type 3 era and you're like, they were looking ahead to being a type 2 civilization. Those people were so backward. Look at us now, we're a type 3 civilization. Our people are way more creative and more relaxed than those people that were looking ahead to being a type 2. So, and if you can imagine, there may be some other civilizations out there. I will guarantee to you there are other civilizations out there, because as I am a meditator since 1996, it is now 2023. 1996 to 2023 is several years. That is at least 27 years ago, I became more than a type 0 civilization. I became a citizen of not only the solar system, not only of the physical dimension. I became a citizen of the galaxy, but better than that, in 2001, I became the universe. And when you become the universe, you become a citizen of every society throughout all that is. When you become a citizen, that's beyond the type 0 civilization. So I became a citizen in 2001, but in 1996 I became beyond just a type 0 citizen of the Earth, beyond the type 0 civilization of the planet. I became a citizen of not only the solar system, not only of the galaxy of Earth, the galaxy which contains the Earth. I became a citizen not only of space and time, but of every dimension throughout all that is, every dimension. Not only the physical dimension, but into the different lights and frequencies of space and time. And that awaits as the rest of the population here on the Earth and throughout all of time, on every planet throughout all that is, becomes more relaxed. It leaves some of the more root structures of their brain and begins to pay attention and cooperate with the other people on the planet and in their immediate environment. Maybe maybe you don't live on a planet. Maybe you just live in between planets, or maybe you live somewhere else in another dimension and there's no physical structure, that you don't step on anything. Maybe you just fly around or float. Or maybe you're just an energy throughout the galaxy and you don't really live anywhere. You just kind of float around. Some beings are like that. They don't have physical bodies. They're just kind of an energy, like a ball of lightning almost. And they float around the galaxy and the universe and the different dimensions without really having a body or a form. And you say, well, how does this relate to me? I'm a person. I'm just here in my physical body. I'm here to watch SpaceX and all the rockets and see a big engines ramping up and everything else. Well, I would say, well, that's a good perspective. Why does this matter to you? Well, you may be a young 50-year-old person beginning their life here on the earth at the age of 50, or maybe you're 55, or maybe you're only a younger person. Maybe you're around 60 years old, and the older you get, the younger you get, of course. So as you get older and younger at the same time, maybe you're still in your 20s, or maybe you're 15. Sorry, I left you at last. The really old people are around 15 years old. But as you get younger and older at the same time, you got to remember that some people have already passed away. And when those people pass away, they may not have a physical body. Maybe they went to heaven. I don't know where they go, or maybe they didn't go anywhere. Maybe they just dissolved into the energetic structure of all that is. And the people are just matter, dust to dust. But if it does matter, which I believe it does, as you have these different transcendent experiences that people talk about in every age, in every society, there are a few people who have their wits together, who have not lost their beans, spilled the beans. I'm spilling the beans, but I have not lost my marbles. I still have a functioning, I have a few brain cells that are still working. As you transition younger or older, eventually that what you are, everybody has some type of unconscious or subconscious or superconscious, I don't know what we're calling it, but whatever you call it, when you go to sleep, you go somewhere. Maybe they just turn off the robot and the robot goes to sleep, or maybe the simulation ends when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, you just kind of blank out, and we won't pay attention to what happens there, but maybe there is a chance that you do exist in other dimensions. And if that is the case, then over the course of your life, you are constantly going in and out of the physical dimension, as I've been speaking about for the last 83 minutes. 83 minutes. And I am laying out a course of action that if you were curious, like many scientists are curious, but some other scientists just like to keep secrets, and they like to cordon off some of the magical stuff about the galaxy and the universe and just focus on what's here and now. Let's just pay attention to what's here and now. But if you are extremely creative and curious and would like to become a Type 2 civilization, the citizen of the Type 2 civilization, I'm saying that there is a possibility that in the dream states, as well as after you pass away, that there will be continuity of being, that there will be continuity of awareness. And instead of just moving around the galaxy and the universe as a ball of energy and winding up back in a body again somewhere, sometime, someplace, maybe you'll end up in the same culture or civilization. If there is, if when you go to sleep you do venture outside of your body and you float around, whether you're close to your body in a dream state, or maybe you actually do have some really real dreams, and then when you wake up you kind of forget them. But maybe some of those things you experience when you're asleep are actually real experiences, and you're just outside of your body, or maybe you're in a different body. Sometimes you can end up in another body with different thoughts and feelings and dreams and know different stuff, but when you wake up you kind of forget some of it. You can always get a journal and write it down, but yeah, so there's a possibility that you do exist in other bodies and states and all over the galaxy and the universe, not only here in the Milky Way, as we call it here in the United States of America in the year 2023, but on the other side of the universe, there are many, many other planets in the galaxy and the universe. Billions and billions of planets, not only here in the material world, but also in the different dimensional states, not only in this dimension, because the different atoms are just made up of different waves and stuff like that. So just like a net, you can, if you're big enough, the net will catch you and you will end up in that dimension, in that frequency. But if you get smaller, if the particle that you're made up of is smaller than the net, which makes up that dimensional frequency, then you will pass through into a more subtle area, and you will not be confined to or under the laws of that dimension. So just like a net with different sizes between the different ropes and things like that, as you begin to operate in the more in the less physical structures, as the atoms and the particles which make up your center of awareness, maybe you're a ball of lightning, I don't know what you are, after you go to sleep or when you die, then so you might float around, but if you maintain the same frequency as you had when you were awake, you might just end up back in another body as a baby and start all over. Once again, with another opportunity to become awake and aware of the more subtle states, and you'll be able to be incredulous of the rockets and the physical technology that society which you end up in is once again building. And you have the opportunity only to pay attention to the physical reality once again and do it all over again, and be amazed at the sincerity of the scientists and the physically focused people building the different rockets in that single dimension. You can only focus on that one dimension and say, we have the best of the best. I don't know what happened before I was born. I don't know what happens when I die, but I am here and now, and man, this is all that exists. This is the best of the best. And you will once again, most likely, if your society is beginning to advance into the type 1 and types 2 or type 4, or maybe you really get lucky and just skip ahead into another higher civilization. You get into the type, I don't know what number that civilization is going to have, maybe type 50 civilization, and they have way more advanced technology than this one does, and they've already integrated the other dimensional states. So at that point, you'll be able to have a much more expansive, relaxed existence without all the weapons and war that we have here, at least as we had last year in 2022. And I can't predict what's going to happen into the future here on the Earth, but we can talk about the last 5 years, or whatever, the last 2,000 years. And as a being in that new civilization, you will have the ability to wonder in a much more relaxed, lazy state at the new capabilities and technologies that civilization has. And you will again also be challenged to not only focus on the dimensional state of that physical dimension that you're inhabiting, but also when you go into the sleep state in that new dimensional state, what are the other opportunities and what are the other adventures that you experience and have the capability of experiencing, not only on a planet or not only on the physical dimension which you inhabit, not only on the gravitational, what is it called? Not only on the gravitational flow towards source, not only on the in every dimension you can either float or you can walk or you can fly or whatever. Some you don't even have arms or legs. So whatever plane, that's the word I'm looking for. Whatever plane, P-L-A-N-E, like a plane in the sky, but this is we are on the plane of the Earth plane, and we are standing on what we call the floor and of this dimension. and the gate. And so the floor of this dimension, we appear to be walking on it. So whatever plane you happen to be operating within, there is always there is one other level. Well, there's a couple of different levels, but there's one ultimate level where instead of looking at the universe, you become the universe. Instead of being in a crowd, instead of saying I am with, instead of being with, left, right, you, me, instead of being with, you can become. The word universe is like one. The universe means one thing. Universe is like a one thing. Some people like to say multiverse. The multiverse is just a universe. You can have many different things, but when you get to the higher and higher dimensional states, the higher and higher frequencies, the more subtle, the more relaxed you get, the more you don't like to see a lot of stuff when you're relaxed. When you're relaxed, you just like to see one thing. And instead of seeing, you can close your eyes and close your being, stop perceiving and just go more into your being. When the universe and when the different structures and entities and beings within the universe, when they become more and more and they get more relaxed and they're just being, they're not doing and they're not watching, they're not interacting, they're not thinking. Like in yoga, when you're just being, when you're relaxing more into what you are, as when you get free of the physical structure, or even in your physical body, you can become at one. You can get at one-ment, as some of the religions talk about, at one-ment with everything and with nothing. When there's nothing else but being, that's when you transition beyond all the types of civilizations. At that point, you're not trying to become something, you are. And there's nothing else. There's just the more expansive you get, the more relaxed you get, the more there is just. And that's when you're beyond all the types of civilizations. You get beyond relaxation because there is no body anymore. You're not perceiving a body. You are. And so that's when the universe. That's just another state, an experiential state of the universe. As we see the universe as a being, as the universe is alive, we're not talking, I'm not on the left side of the universe, I'm not on the left side of the universe, I'm not over there on the right side of the universe, I'm not underneath the universe, I'm not understanding the universe, I'm not above the universe, I'm not within the universe, I'm not on, in, through. I'm not being the universe. At that point, the universe is, and there's no universe out there. But you are no longer just you. You've stepped outside of your body at that point, whatever dimensional state your body exists at, and you are. It is. Perception is, and sometimes at that point there is no other. There's nothing to watch or see or do, and there's no change. Awareness at that point doesn't necessarily change. There's no time because you're not bound by any dimension, but there is awareness. And as I've said before, that is just one extreme state of the universe. If the universe has always been, has always existed, is unable to be changed, and includes all knowledge and everything within it, if that is a state of the universe, then it's just an extreme state of the universe, which you are. And that is beyond all the different types of civilizations. So we are here now on this dimension, on this planet, looking at these things and doing these things. And this is just another state, along the range of experience of the universe. If the universe isn't going anywhere, then today is just like yesterday for the universe. Nothing's changed for the universe. But we, on this different planet here, are experiencing something new here on this planet as well. So since we are part of the universe, and the universe is part of us, and there's no separation, the universe can't be separated from itself. So in a sense, this guy's got some sense here. As long as you are sensing, you are not at that extreme range of perception that the universe has capability of being the unchanging state, unmanifest, unchanging state of the universe. It was never created. It's always a possibility. It's always an option for any aspect of its awareness to drop down to that state. But we are here looking. The universe is looking here now, and we are again here. But we are the universe. That's the end story. The universe has not left. The universe is here also. And since there's no division or break within consciousness throughout the galaxy and the universe is everywhere, simultaneous. It doesn't stop being anywhere. So the universe is here now, and focusing here in this dimension. So that is, we've gone the full circuit of the universe. Not only from here, the rockets and the physical dimension with gravity, being pulled towards source in the passive infinity toward all that is, also called gravity. But we are everywhere else throughout the galaxy and the universe. Consciousness is everywhere simultaneous, unbroken, communicating with itself in all of its different personalities, and is aware. All right. Going back to the chat. Battlestar Galactica. Yes, Johnny 3003, that's correct. It will happen again and again. And if you think about, if you had the opportunity to be alive in every body throughout all time, what would you do if you had the ability to skip through time from one body to another, from one experience to another? Would you write a book and leave something to yourself in the other body, so that when you're a baby once again in that other body, you wouldn't do the same types of things you did in your other body? What would you do if you had the ability to time travel 50 years into the future, or maybe into the past? I don't believe you can time travel into the past, but if you could try to travel into the future, into another body or time, or maybe a different frequency or dimension, what would you leave for yourself in the other body or time? Would you even care if you had the opportunity to jump into another body in another time, maybe as a baby or maybe as an adult, just briefly for a few seconds? What would you want to tell that dimension? Or maybe you jumped into a more primitive society, as some people think about it. What would you want to teach them or show them? Or maybe you didn't care, but maybe they were going to have some type of effect on your current or future life, or maybe your family. Would you write a book, or would you run that 2-minute mile? Or would you go up there into space and do a spacewalk from one capsule to another, and risk your life once again and push humanity forward in the next eons of the next 5,000 years? One way of thinking about it is that the universe is here in all the bodies simultaneous, because there's only one universe. The universe, if the universe is like an egg, and if the egg hasn't yet been sterilized or pasteurized, then if it was a living egg, from the chicken, and it was already on its way to becoming a little chick, then that the egg, all the different areas within that egg are interacting with each other. One side of the egg is linked to the other side of the egg. So the egg has feeling, maybe the chicken has feeling as it develops from the embryo inside of that egg. And that leads into, the universe is like a big egg. And it feels on one side of the universe what's going on the other side of the universe. If the universe were alive, if the universe had consciousness, we could say that the universe was like an egg. And one side had some type of sensation about what was going on the other side, and had some ability to perceive and to sense and to be aware, etc. And to grow toward or grow away from. What would you do if you were guaranteed to be living in another body? A lot of people think of it as well, my offspring are going to have to, for the next 7 generations, my offspring are going to have to put up with whatever's going on here. So I'll pay attention and try and improve the situation a little bit. But maybe that offspring is really another body with another capability for the universe to function through that structure. Another structure, you got dust and all the rest of it coming together with a new fully functional structure, which has not been given the benefit of having too much food put through it, and was able to continue to grow into a younger individual, or maybe an older individual. And what if that consciousness, which was in the original body, which you like to think of as yourself, was once again thrust back once again in a body? What would you like to leave for yourself in that new body with another 50, 100, 200,000 years to live, at least? Would you write a book? Would you go skydiving? Would you jump in the pool? Would you go have another massage at the sauna? Would you buy some flippers at Walmart or Kmart and go to the beach? I don't know. But that's what I've got for you today. Paul S. Mamakos, CEO here at Embryo Space Inc. and that other small company called Ocean Camera Space Corp. Ocean Cam. Leaving a message for myself once again. It's kind of a little bit of a monologue. I think a little bit of a monologue. Hey, Alexi. Bouquet, good stuff. Bouquet, maybe it's a bouquet. I don't know. B-O-U-Q-U-E-T, bouquet. Hey, Alexi. All right, I'm going back through the chat a little bit. Some people like to think of it as a simulation, but if there's only one universe, if the universe is alive with consciousness, then what's the universe simulating? The universe has to do something, right? So, if you're in control and it's your creation, and if it's always been you've always been creating, then who's in control? And how can it be that there's a simulation? And how can something be real if something else is a simulation? I don't get that. If there's nothing in the universe but what is, if what is has perception and awareness, then the only intensity, simulation versus not a simulation. A lot of people play video games, and they play video games because they like playing video games. If you look at Mr. Beast and all the different people throughout the ages who've played video games, there's is that a simulation, or is the person actually experiencing different stuff? And it's just a different direction of the awareness and perception in a body. It's all real. So I would say there is no simulation if you are the creator of every level of that simulation. It is as real as you would like to make it. And what you get out of it depends on what you bring to it. So that's it. I know it's probably been pretty boring for a lot of people. But maybe there will be, it said that in in some of the alternative and complementary medicine, they talk about, I've studied a little Chinese medicine for about 6 months, and I've studied some other stuff for a long time as well. They say that, you know, if you go to a bunch of doctors, maybe it's not the first doctor that fixed you, maybe it's not the third doctor that fixed you, maybe it's not the final one that finally fixed you, maybe it was all the doctors together that had an effect. Maybe you had a bunch of stuff going on, or maybe it's some type of energetic thing, and it took a lot of different doctors to cumulatively to fix whatever it is issue you had. So maybe the final person who finally fixed you wasn't the person who fixed you. And so they also talk about in Chinese herbology that, you know, it's not the first time you take an herbal remedy that you get the full effect. And, you know, especially when you're looking at prevention or treatment, it's not you don't get, that's the benefit of Western medicine and some of the more cutting and surgical type procedures. They do a dramatic effect on the body. They cut something out, or they sew something up, or they put some type of attachment, or they fix it somehow. And that's a critical, severe intervention. Whereas you could, you know, if you want to go to, if you want to fly a plane somewhere, you could slowly turn the wheel in that direction, or you could drastically, you can do a 10-degree turn and have a nice, comfortable turn as you're flying in the air toward the direction you'd like to go. And if you're going south and you'd like to go north, you can turn the yoke about 5 degrees, 10 degrees, and you can slowly turn around if you have enough fuel and you don't have to get there soon. If you're not running out of fuel, you can just do a steady 5-degree turn, or 10 or 15-degree commercial flight turn, and make a nice smooth change of direction. But if you got to do a 180 in about 5 seconds, you're really going to want to have a fighter jet or some type of UFO aircraft, or that's kind of what the conventional Western medicine is a lot like that. You need like one of those UFOs that can have zero inertia 180-degree turns. Maybe they have them at the Defense Department, I don't know. But some people claim to have seen some of those types of aircraft that can fly like over a mile or several miles, or maybe 50 miles in a blink of an eye. And if that's true, then I would say that the type of spacecraft that we have here in the public sector are more kind of like the, a lot of people say they don't like the alternative stuff. I don't like alternative stuff. I want the fix right now. I want to get there yesterday. I want it done. I want to get to Jupiter. I want to get to Mars. I want to be there quick. I want to get there quick. So I'm going to build this, whatever it is you're building, or whatever craft you want to use. So that's kind of the alternative method. You're kind of saying, I want to be conventional, but then you're not looking at the Defense Department. You're not looking at the skunk works. We're looking here in the public sector, and we're using the alternative technology. You're more toward the traditional Chinese method, where you're doing a little herbology slowly over time, and you're doing that 5-10 degree turn to get to Jupiter, or to Mars, or to Venus. But possibly there is some possibility in the top secret sector that there exists craft that can get there within 10 minutes using some of this other sci-fi, some of this other conventional, some of this other drastic, critical techniques, just like Western medicine. And it will get you there super quick. You might have to wear wear a parachute when you get there, because maybe they'll drop you into the atmosphere. You have to parachute down to the planet. I don't know, maybe you have some kind of gravity boots when you get there. You could walk on the side of the space station when you appear. Possibly they have a net up there in space where when you start, when they release you after that 50-mile journey, or 2,000, when you do that jump through space and time, maybe they'll have a net there, and you'll have to have your hands out ready to catch the net or something, or when you finish that jump, you might not be able to be relaxed and comfortable when you get there. So if you want a really comfortable ride, you might have to take several years to get there in one of these alternative technology ships here in the public sector, but maybe in the military defense sector, possibly in the skunk works or the other sci-fi secret special access only projects, you would have the capability, if you were fit enough and willing to risk your life for the good of humanity, you would have the quick ride there and be able to parachute down or whatever it is that they, maybe you can only go a few times and then you start having some kind of health issues. I don't know. But that's what we have to look forward to, probably, I imagine. I will tune out here. It's been a lot of fun, somewhat. This is like a creative endeavor for me. And I will review the chat afterwards, whether when I'm driving home or something else. I like to look at the chat and go through each one afterwards. And if you write something good, here's something to look forward to. I do clip some of the chats and post them onto the YouTube channel. You can be a YouTube hero. You too can be a YouTube hero. I will single out some good comments occasionally and post them. There was a really good comment last week by a gentleman who said that we were talking about cups, and when the water gets out of the cup, it loses its form, its shape. But this gentleman had said when the water is outside of the cup, it takes on the shape of the universe. That's a really good concept there. When the water inside the cup is not influenced by gravity, when it's free of any certain direction, it's not has a form of the cup. You know, when we're here on the earth, you put water in the cup, it takes the shape of the cup, right? You can have one of those special water jugs that have different kind of angles. It's not the traditional cup, or maybe have a special glass or something, and it has a different design. So the water takes on different shapes depending on the cup it's in. But when it's outside of the cup, up there in zero gravity, when it has no pressure and temperature, when pressure and temperature and no form, no structure to hold and contain the water kind of evaporates a little bit and maybe expands out to every nook and cranny of the universe and takes on the shape of the universe. Kind of oneness. It's like we talk about oneness in meditation. Or the water has gone out of the cup, out of body, and since it doesn't have any gravity to fall toward, maybe it falls toward different gravities, different bodies, different planets with different gravity as the water continues to expand and goes everywhere. But it kind of takes on the oneness state and structure of the, at least the solar system that it's in. Maybe if it escapes the solar system, it'll take on the shape and form of the galaxy, and then once it escapes a galaxy, maybe it'll fall into a wormhole or a black hole or something. But what is a wormhole or what is a black hole? That's to be debated. If we were to go back to the Mehran Keshe, would say that the black hole is more just an area of balance. But if we were to escape the black holes and the wormholes and everything else and expand beyond the galaxies, any specific one galaxy, then the water might take on the shape of the universe. The water has gone into the state of oneness. And if you were able to go out of your body, maybe you had to hitchhike a ride on some type of particle or piece of matter or something like that. And maybe that water in that other state, in that other area, in that different form, provided the structure for you to hitch your ride in that new dimensional area. Anyway, I wish you the best. I hope you get more and more relaxed. Hope you develop the ability to focus more and more. I hope people here on Earth develop the capability to have a more complex civilization. And that's it. All right, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take care.